novel, not just a collection of YouTube chapters. That means there will be quieter chapters, emotional chapters, and chapters with major twists. Every clue will have a purpose. One thing I've decided is this. The story isn't really about time travel. Time travel is just the beginning. At its heart, this is a story about family, grief, hope, and how one ordinary girl refuses to accept that the people she loves are destined to die. Here's the next chapter. Chapter 7. The Weight of Secrets. For the first time since returning to 2019, Maria dreaded going to sleep. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the gentle ticking of the old clock on her bedroom wall. The mysterious video played over and over in her mind. Don't ignore the man in the red jacket. It had been her voice. She was certain of it, but she had never recorded those words. Eventually, exhaustion pulled her into an uneasy sleep. Morning arrived with golden sunlight pouring through the curtains. The rain had finally gone. Birds chirped outside the bedroom window as if nothing in the world could ever go wrong. Buddy burst into her room without knocking. Again. "You're going to be late," Maria laughed. "Do you ever knock?" "I did." "No, you didn't." "I knocked with my foot." "You kicked the door." "It still counts." Maria couldn't help smiling. Buddy had a way of making even the darkest mornings feel lighter. She silently promised herself that one day he'd grow into the happy young man she'd seen in the photos on her phone. He deserved that future. They all did. School passed in a blur. Maria couldn't concentrate. Every time she looked out of the classroom window, she expected to see the man in the red jacket. She didn't. By the end of the day, she had almost convinced herself the whole thing had been another strange memory. Almost. On the walk home, Crystal walked beside her. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. Finally, Crystal broke the silence. "Can I ask you something?" "You just did." Crystal rolled her eyes. "You know what I mean." Maria smiled. "Go on." Crystal hesitated. "You've changed." Maria's smile faded. "Ha, everyone keeps saying that." "Because it's true." They continued walking. "I miss the old you sometimes." The words caught Maria completely off guard. "What do you mean?" Crystal shrugged. "You used to tease me all the time. You borrowed my clothes." "I still do." "You definitely do." "You used to complain every single time." Maria laughed softly. "I suppose I don't anymore." "No." Crystal looked down at the pavement. "Now you just smile." Maria realized something that had never crossed her mind before. She had been trying so hard to protect her family that she'd stopped being herself. To everyone else, she hadn't simply become kinder. She had become different. That evening, June asked Maria to help prepare dinner. The kitchen filled with the comforting smell of onions, garlic, and fresh herbs. June chopped vegetables while Maria stirred a large pot on the stove. After a few quiet minutes, June spoke. "You've got something on your mind." Maria smiled faintly. "Is it that obvious?" "It is to a mother." Maria looked into the simmering stew. "What if—" She stopped. "What if what?" "What if someone knew something terrible was going to happen?" June turned to face her. "And they didn't know how to stop it." June didn't answer immediately. Instead, she carefully wiped her hands on a tea towel. Then they wouldn't have to carry it alone. Maria swallowed. But what if nobody believed them? June reached over and gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind Maria's ear. "Sometimes," she said softly, "people don't need to understand your fear. They only need to understand that you're frightened." Maria felt tears prick her eyes. If only it were that simple. After dinner, Toklim announced it was game night. Buddy cheered. Tommy complained. Susie insisted on reading the rules. Jack claimed he already knew them. He didn't. Within 10 minutes, everyone was accusing everyone else of cheating. Crystal laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. Maria watched them all. She didn't join in straight away. She simply listened. The laughter, the playful arguments, the familiar warmth of being surrounded by the people she loved. These ordinary evenings. They were becoming her favorite memories. Not because anything extraordinary happened, because everyone was together. Later that night, Maria stood in the back garden. The air was cool, carrying the scent of freshly cut grass from a nearby field. Above her, thousands of stars filled the sky. She wondered how many times she'd looked at those same stars without really seeing them. The back door creaked open. Toklim stepped outside carrying 2 mugs of hot chocolate. "I thought you might be cold." Maria accepted one with a grateful smile. Thanks, Dad. They stood together in comfortable silence. Finally, Toklim spoke. You know, when you were little, every time you were upset, you'd come out here and count the stars. I did. You never got very far, Maria laughed. There's too many. There are. Toklim looked up at the night sky. But you always believed if you counted long enough, you'd find the one that belonged to you. Maria looked at him. What did you tell me? Toklim smiled. I told you that people don't belong to stars. They belong with the people who love them. Just it. Maria had to look away, because she knew something he didn't. If she failed, the stars were all she'd have left. Toklim gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I don't know what's worrying you. But whatever it is, you don't have to face it on your own. Maria nodded, unable to trust herself to speak. For the first time, she realized that keeping the truth secret wasn't only hurting her, it was slowly building a wall between her and the very people she was trying to save. Back in her bedroom, Maria opened the drawer and took out the phone. 93%, still unchanged. She opened the gallery. The mysterious video from the previous night had disappeared. It was simply gone, as though it had never existed. Maria searched every folder. Nothing. She frowned. Was I dreaming? Then, a tiny notification appeared at the top of the screen. Memory from 7 years ago. Confused, she tapped it. The screen opened to a single photograph. Not from 2026. Not from Christmas. It was a picture of the Wilson family standing in front of their home. The timestamp at the bottom read, today's date. But the photograph wasn't from today. Maria looked closer. Everyone was smiling, except her. She wasn't looking at the camera. She was staring directly behind the person taking the picture. Her face was filled with fear, a fear she didn't remember. Maria slowly zoomed in. In the reflection of the living room window, a blurred figure stood in the garden, watching the family, watching her. The image was too distorted to make out a face. Only one thing was clear. The figure was wearing a bright red jacket. Maria's breath caught in her throat. She looked up from the phone and instinctively turned towards her bedroom window. The garden outside was empty. But for the first time since returning to 2019, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone knew she was back. And somewhere in the darkness, someone was waiting. I think this is the point where the story changes direction. The family remains the